Take me back to simpler times. It's your pal, Greg Boysen, and our resident Florida man, Frank Nova. Second balcony back on the air. Let's just get right to it. Before we get right to it, hit the subscribe button, like, 5-star reviews, shares, all that fun stuff. Tell your friends, and so on and so forth. All right. We got a lot to get into in this next 60 minutes or so. Where would you like to start? Because it seems that everything has happened since the last time we got together talking to Joe Yurden.
Well, the Florida Panthers are replacing the Las Vegas Golden Knights as Team Dickhead.
Yeah. A difficult accomplishment to achieve, but they certainly have done that.
And they give up a lot of picks for the second best Kachuk.
Yeah, I mean, that whole thing is it's just kind of the whole situation. You get Brady Kachuk after the season, telling the media, "No, I'm committed to this team. I love it here," and you should take that stuff with a grain of salt, but don't say that stuff, and then you're requesting a trade. And some of the stuff that's come out since then, Elliot Friedman had a lot to say. He wouldn't flat out say, but he definitely insinuated that like his teammates couldn't stand him after the Olympics. No surprise. I mean, whatever these guys talk to on the flight home from Italy, I mean, you got all these guys in cahoots trying to build super teams now.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, all these guys from Team USA are demanding trades.
Yeah, I mean, Kachuk, Dylan Larkin has demanded a trade. Sounds like Zach Werenski's on the way out. Connor Hellebuyck could be on the move. Crazy. Maybe it's a good thing the Hawks didn't have anybody on that team.
Oh, the blessings of not having good players.
Yeah. Did Louis Crevier accidentally stumble into that chat?
Oh, my favorite thing about the trade, we'll just call it the trade because everybody knows what the trade is. We don't have to rehash the particulars here. Is okay. People want to get upset about the number 4 being traded away. You know what? Eat me.
I don't care.
I'm going to tell you right here. Here's the thing. Here's the point of the draft. The point of the draft is to make your team better. And after years and years and years of people being impatient because the rebuild is taking so long and these guys are taking too long to develop, and will the Blackhawks ever be good? They go out, they use the number 4 pick, which if they had kept it, would have turned into a defenseman. It would have been Chase Reed. It would have been Carson Carrolls. Those are the 2 most likely guys. Maybe Christian Verhoff, but probably not. I mean, those are the guys that seem like either Reed or Carroll seemed like the guys. And, Chase Reed, they've already got 2 Chase Reeds. Maybe Chase Reed would have been a better Rinzel and a better Levshunov. But, when you get a player, or whenever you make a transaction, whether it's a draft pick or whether it's a trade, what you have to ask yourself, first of all, is does it make the team better? Does Bowen Byram make the team better? Abso-fucking-lutely. You should not even question that. Right. He makes the team a lot better. Now, if they'd used the number 4 to pick a defenseman, you would have been ecstatic if after his development curve, which would have taken 4 years, he becomes Bowen Byram. So Just get Bowen Byram now. What's the problem?
Right. Fast forward the clock. Like everybody wants this team to start competing now, but then the second you make a move, it's like, and the national narrative is just so stupid.
It is.
And it's just like, oh, what are the Blackhawks doing? They're getting better. Why do they need another top 5 pick? They don't, especially this year when it's not. Once the Sharks traded Eklund, it became evident, clear as day, they're taking Stenberg number 2.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, the value of number 4 with no shot at Stenberg drops. What do you need another developing defenseman for? You've got a whole roster full of them.
And, I can't remember who it was. My head hurts from it all. Basically saying that Mike Greer had a master class because he dangled the 9 and the 27, and that's why Kyle Davidson had to give up the 4. No. He did not do that to bait Kyle Davidson. He did that because he fucking wanted Byron too.
Because you know what the Sharks desperately need? Good defensemen. And apparently the Rangers offered the 5th overall pick.
Yeah.
So, for years I've been hearing in every post-game show, in every comment section, Kyle Davidson just needs to do whatever he can to make this team better. And he just did it. And it's like, no, not that, though. You can't trade the number 4 pick.
Yeah.
You
can't have your cake and eat it, too.
Right. Too many people talking out of both sides of their mouths these days.
Now, what I will say is it becomes a lot uglier if Davidson can't sign Byram. But why wouldn't Byram sign?
It doesn't sound like that's going to be an issue.
No, because first of all, the Blackhawks have nothing but money.
Right.
And secondly, Byram's whole deal is he wants to come to a team where he can be the guy. And guess what? You're the guy. Nobody's going to deny that.
You want to be number 1? You're number 1. Here you go. Top power play, top minutes, all that stuff.
And the nice thing for the rest of the nice thing for the Blackhawks too is not only are you made better by having Byram in your lineup every night, but there's that waterfall effect where there's that much less pressure on Lev Schnuff. They don't need Lev Schnuff to be the guy right away. They don't need Rinzel to be the guy right away. They have all these young defensemen who now there's a little bit less heat under their kettle. Yeah, so that's what you get for having an established defenseman. He's young. He's really good, and plus he's got playoff experience. He's a guy who can turn to these guys and say, okay, this is how we did it. We went from a bad team to a good team in Buffalo. This is how we did it. Follow me.
He's a Stanley Cup winner.
Yeah.
He's won a Stanley Cup. Not a lot of guys in the locker room can say that.
Hey, they got Stanley Cup winner Burakovsky.
Yeah, maybe. He won it with Bowen Byram. Maybe it's having Bowen Byram playing with him that unlocks Burakovsky, not Nathan McKinnon or Cale Makar. We'll find out. We'll see if Andre Burakovsky is still on the roster come training camp.
I would put that at a hard no.
I don't know. We'll see what happens over here in the next couple of days. If they acquire another forward here, because they only have the June 30th to buy him out. Now, you can stash him in the minors, and who cares about cap hits, or you could throw him in,
right.
Give him away for pennies on the dollar. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I suggested, make an offer to Vancouver for Elias Pettersson. And since they're looking to completely tank, you give them a couple of those first round picks you have, maybe another second or third, give them Ryan Ellis's contract and have them their pick of either Andre Burakovsky or Andrew Mangiapane, because those help them get to the cap floor, and they're actual NHL players, live bodies that are perfect for a team looking to finish last in the league.
Yeah, but you know what? I can't say I'm terribly excited at the thought of having Pettersson, because once you've got him, you fuck with it, you're stuck with it. And that's the deal with Pedersen. You get him on that team with that contract, and you know there have been some whispers about some of the things going on between his ears. I That's a really high risk move.
It is, but I think getting out of Vancouver is going to work wonders for him. That's just such a tire fire of a situation there. And all the stuff he was going through with JT Miller and his head coach, the great Rick Tocchet, not sticking up for him, and
That is true.
they trade Miller. Tocchet gets the hell out of there. Then Quinn Hughes says, "I can't take this anymore. Get me the hell out of here." It's not a good situation for anybody, especially for a guy who seems to be on the more sensitive side of the spectrum, like Elias Pettersson. So have him come to Chicago where he can hang out with all the boys and play video games and get his act together and see what happens. But I think now that you've got the big ticket contract of Bowen Byram soon to be signed, I doubt they're going to look to bring on another $11.5 million contract. They can, but I doubt they will.
Well, there is another slightly large contract that they will have to deal with.
Right. Yeah, the Jason Robertson offer sheet, right?
Okay. You ready for my conspiracy theory? I got one.
All right. Do we need tinfoil hats?
Oh, put it on, baby. So here's my conspiracy theory. I think I've told you this offline, like in texts or whatever. Is my conspiracy theory is that the Chicago Blackhawks and Connor Bedard, and by the way, Kyle Davidson's not listening to this, so I'm good. But the Chicago, neither is Bedard's agent or Bedard, although Connor Bedard apparently follows us on Facebook.
Right, I saw that. Yes, the Connor Bedard.
Bedard.
I'll ask him about it at training camp.
So anyway. My conspiracy theory is that the Blackhawks and Connor Bedard already have a handshake deal, but they're not going to announce until July 1, because if they announce now, it sets the price for Robertson, it sets the price for Dorofeyev, a couple of the other big ticket RFAs. It'll also set the price for an extension for Celebrini. So they've got a handshake deal in place. They're not going to announce it until July 1st, because on July 1st, the offer sheet is going to drop for either Robertson or Dorofeyev.
I'm fine with that. If to get Jason Robertson, something that would get him here, you're going to have to give up your next 4 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care. That's fine.
You got 2 more picks next year anyway.
Right. It's fine. Like, I'm okay with that if you're getting Jason Robertson. Now, Greg Wyshynski today said that if the Stars do decide that they have to trade him, and it's certainly starting to feel that way, they're going to look for something like the Mikko Rantanen trade. So the Mikko Rantanen trade was 2 first-round picks. I believe it was like another third-round pick, and it was Logan Stankoven. So that'd be the equivalent of Hawks trading their next 2 first-round picks of their own, so 27, 28, and then another 1 or 2 later-round picks, and like Frank Nazar. Done.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even think twice about it. And I love Frank Nazar, and I think Frank Nazar is going to be a really good player, but he's never going to be a 40-goal, 100-point guy like Jason Robertson is.
And Jason Robertson, he's a guy who ticks every single box for the Blackhawks. He's a guy who's gonna win. He wins board battles. He goes in the corners. He does all the things. What the Blackhawks need is they need guys who can make possession happen. You're going to have talented players. You've got to figure out how to keep the puck.
Bowen Byram's definitely going to help in that department. There's a good start right there.
Yeah. And this coming season is going to be the watershed year for this rebuild. It either takes or it doesn't, because they traded the pick for Byram. They need to sign Byram, and it's time it's time for these first rounders, especially some of the first rounders who have got some time in the NHL now. It's time to show us what you got.
Yeah.
There's no more of this. You can't say he's young. You can't say Frank Nazar, Oliver Moore. You can't say they're young. You can't say they're inexperienced. It's go time. It's time for these guys to do their thing. And if one of those guys winds up getting traded to bring in somebody like Jason Robertson, fine, great. I would the only players I would not give up off the current roster. I mean, uh, yeah, the only guys really are, well, Byram, because you don't trade a guy you just give up a 4 for, but
Right.
then Bedard and Frondell.
Yeah. I mean,
You
I
know,
agree.
if
I
Jim
could be
Nill
talking to
wants
anybody
to,
else.
if Jim Nill wants to offer Jason Robertson, if I'm Kyle Davidson, I said, okay, 98 and 16 are off the table. Let's talk. And that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I would. And Nazar's got to step it up because this is the first year of his new deal. He's getting paid almost $7 million from
Yeah.
here on out. You got to start playing like a $7 million player. Now,
Yeah.
granted, last year's struggles, a lot of that was due to injury. Neither injury was, his fault. A dirty cross check to the leg and a puck to the mouth.
Yeah.
So, those things happen. So hopefully he can avoid those sort of things next year. But he's got to step it up. You can't have another season of inconsistent Sam Renzel and Artie Levshinoff either.
No,
because that's going to sink you pretty quickly. They don't have to be Norris candidate all-stars at the same time, but they have to be better than we saw last year. And
I mean, we saw improvement. I mean, it was late in the year, but still, you saw the improvement in Kevin Korchinski. The defensemen take time. Another reason why you trade the 4 for Byram, because defensemen take time.
Because he's already hit it. He's already done that development curve, and he's ready. And he's ready to be a number 1. So it's perfect.
And another thing is, as soon as the trade happened, people suddenly were, and the way I found out about the trade was I was doing something, and I don't get text alerts or anything like that. I got a text from Joe Yurden saying, "What are your thoughts on Louis Crevier?" I was like, "What happened?" So I told him, I said, "Yeah, Louis Crevier is a big guy, doesn't take the body well. He poke check. He doesn't take the body well. Doesn't use his body to take away space. Doesn't put his body in front of pucks. He's a big poke checker, and he's got the clapper of the gods, and that's Louis Crevier's game. And once he was traded away, he became fucking Zdeno Chara in 2011.
No, Louis Crevier on a team like Buffalo that's already deep defensively is their 5th guy. He's a 3rd pairing guy. That's what he is.
Yeah.
He played up in the lineup last year because he was one of the only guys that was somewhat stable.
Yeah.
Consistent. Like you knew what you were going to get out of him every night. And he's not a top pairing defenseman, not on any planet. Nice player, great story, good guy, but give me, and I think a lot of the other reaction to the trade was, it wasn't for a forward. People wanted to trade for Matthew Knies, who all of a sudden is Wayne F. and Gretzky, and supposedly the Maple Leafs wanted 4 and either Frondell or Nazar. No way. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know why they want to trade him in the first place, but it's John Chaika, so who knows? And so that was part of the reaction, was it wasn't a forward. But if you take the 2 unknowns out of it, take away the number 4 overall pick and then the 2nd round pick this year, take those out, because no matter who they are, they're not playing in Buffalo for the foreseeable future, if ever.
Right.
So just compare the 3 players involved in that trade that will actually be playing for those respective teams next season. And if you would have told me a year ago that the Blackhawks will be able to turn Louis Crevier into Bowen Byram and Jordan Greenway, I would have asked you to pass me whatever you were smoking, but that's what happened.
And look, Jordan Greenway, he's a seat filler.
Yeah, I think he's a little more. I mean, he's going to be. He's what they need. He needs a guy like that. But I mean, he's not part of the core. He's not part of the future. Uh, we had our pal Joe Yurden on CHGO the other day after the trade and he said that he had to have 3 sports hernia surgeries, and the third one finally fixed the problem, and he was skating and playing well. He's a guy that just loves to hit people, and the Blackhawks don't have anybody like that.
Right.
He's good on the forecheck. He'll fight you, and he's a really good penalty killer. And the Hawks need that because
Mikheyev's gone.
Mikheyev's gone. You traded away Dickinson. You traded away Foligno. You traded away Murphy. You traded away Crevier. All your penalty killers from last year are gone. So you need somebody, and Greenway's a good start. So while he's not somebody to be super excited about, I'm looking forward. I think he's going to be one of the most popular guys on the Blackhawks next year, just because he's going to put somebody in the third row in his first shift, and people are going to fall in love with him. And I remember talking to him after an AHL game when he was playing for the Iowa Wild, because he was originally a Minnesota draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember talking to him. This had to be 2018, 2019, and just going, this guy is a freaking monster. And that's when he was like 20. He's a big boy, and the Hawks need that. Jeff Blashill said his team needs to be harder to play against, and Jordan Greenway certainly helps in that department.
But like I said, to me, he's a seat filler because he's a guy who's going to hold a spot for AJ Spellacy.
Most likely. But who knows? Maybe he plays his way into a second contract, and they bring him back for another year or two. We'll see.
Yeah. But the whole thing, the Blackhawks, I put this out on Blue Sky, that basically the Blackhawks finished the season with 72 points. The Kings got the last wild card spot with 90. So the Blackhawks are basically chasing 20 points. And what Kyle Davidson's doing right now, I don't know if he makes up the whole 20 points right now, but he's making up a lot of it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's ways to get to those points,
and some of it will require some luck. Bedard giving you 80 games.
Yeah. Him and Nazar not being hurt for a month at the same time. That would go a long way to getting more points.
Yeah, the Hawks were a tough team to play against until both those guys got hurt in succession.
Yeah. And then, after the trade deadline wasn't great, but, there were a lot of factors into that. You traded away all your veteran leaders at the same time, and it took a little while for those guys to kind of recover and get their footing. But no, Bedard staying healthy, Nazar staying healthy helps. Bowen Byram helps.
A full year of Frondell.
Certainly, yes. Roman Kanserov, if he's 2/3 as good as his expectations are, that helps a lot too. There's plenty of. There were so many games. What was it? 11, 13 games last year where they're either tied or leading in the final 3 minutes of the third period and lost. Mm-hmm. You turn 6 of those into wins.
Yeah,
there's 12 more points right there. So the path to contending for a wild card spot, it's not as bleak as some would say. You read some of these national guys, and they're just saying the Blackhawks are directionless. Are you paying attention? The direction has been crystal clear since Kyle Davidson took off. I don't know what, and bringing in Bowen Byram is a clear direction move. The direction is up.
Yeah. This is, every team, it was like when the Blackhawks went out and got Brian Campbell. And you were like, okay, here we go. We're really doing this. And Brian Campbell, he was great for the Blackhawks. When you talk about the core guys on that team, Campbell's kind of on the periphery of that. But still, it's the move you make that not only from a hockey standpoint of, okay, we definitely made ourselves a better team, but it also tells the other players, like, look, this is it. We're going now. It's like we're done running a classroom.
Yeah, and that's kind of a side effect, a trickle down effect of Bowen Byram. You sign him, and he's everything he said the other day is that he's super excited to play for the Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
He rooted for them in the Stanley Cup days, and his dad
And
played one game for the team back in the 80s. But if he signs here a long-term deal, he's going to get paid big bucks. They're probably going to overpay him a little bit, which is fine. A team like the Blackhawks have to do that right now, just like they
right.
overpaid for Brian Campbell and Christian Houet
Oh
in the
yeah.
summer of 08. They overpaid. But other guys around the league see a guy like Bowen Byram in the prime of his career committing to the Blackhawks are going to go, oh, okay, maybe that's a team I won't exclude on my no trade list anymore. Maybe that's a team I want to go play for. They're paying guys. They've got young guys, but the Hawks have to be good this year for that to happen.
Yes.
They have to take a step forward. If all these guys we talk about are healthy all season and they still finish 30th in the league, well, something's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. At that point, heads have to roll.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Then it's time to let's figure out what we're doing wrong and get somebody that can not do it that way.
Right. I don't foresee. I actually listened to Kyle Davidson the other day when he was talking, and what he said was absolutely true about Kanserov, which is, we signed Kanserov, but if we had gotten Kanserov in a trade, there'd be a huge amount of buzz about it. Right. Or if Kanserov was a Russian free agent and they said, hey, we just signed the guy who led the KHL in goals. Yeah, Chicago would be giddy. People would be running out to buy a sweater as soon as they knew what number he'd be wearing.
Right.
So, and, we've talked about how, these guys, Nazar needs to step up and, it's time for more to get going and, Rinzel and Levshinov. But, Nick Lardis was pretty damn good last year when he was up with the Hawks. And this year, I don't think he has to worry about going back to Rockford. I think he's going to be a Blackhawk unless he gets traded, because he's another one of those guys you could see going, because if there's like a Jason Robertson thing, you could send a guy like Nick Lardis just because he's still got years left on his entry level.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I think he's definitely, penciled in for top 6 from day one. And, the kid can score goals. So he's just, I think part of the problem last year with him was half the time he was, not playing where he should have been playing. Blashill had him on the 4th line. That's just, that's not going to work. He's not a 4th line guy. He never will be. He needs to be if he can't play in the top 6, he can't play in the league. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of pieces there where you can go, okay, still a lot of ifs, but they're not impossible ifs.
Right.
Where you're like, okay, if all these guys we're talking about,
you're not asking Frank Nazar to get 100 points.
Right. You don't need him to anymore.
Right.
Because if Frondell does what he's supposed to do and Kanserov does what he's supposed to do, then Frank Nazar only has to do what he's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's be a 60, 70 point guy. If you got 3 or 4 60, 70 point guys after Bedard, you're looking like a pretty good team, especially now that the defense will be theoretically improved. You get Byram in there, which means, you could slot Vlasic down to second pairing where it's probably a little more suited for him, unless Byram plays on the right side, which he can. You're probably going to have to add another defenseman at some point before the end of the off season, maybe another right-handed guy. But we'll see what happens.
I don't think anybody should get too terribly attached to Wyatt Kaiser.
I don't know. That's not a guy I move it. I mean, I've said in the past that like he's a guy you can definitely include in a package because I think, but I'm not saying don't trade him. He's untouchable, but it's got to be for the right guy.
Well, the one thing is every time I think about Kaiser last year, I think about him, not doing defenseman things like, he doesn't he doesn't get in lanes. He doesn't put his body in front of pucks. He will get the puck moving the other way. He'll chase pucks, but you got to do more than chase pucks. You've got to be able to get pucks away from guys. You've got to be able to stop pucks from getting to your goaltender, and those are just things Wyatt Kaiser doesn't do. Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure if I've seen it, scouts have seen it though. So I don't know how much of a Wyatt Kaiser market there is, unless there's a team out there that thinks they can fix him.
It could be something that just takes some, maybe he just needs to get that one really bad slap shot off the kneecap to get him over that and be like, okay, that wasn't so bad. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Or maybe he needs a guy, maybe he needs a guy like Jacob Trouba to come in on a 2-year deal and toughen him up a little bit and say, listen, if I can do this, you can do this.
Well, that's what I was thinking too, is there's going to be a few defensemen out there, Trouba is one of those guys where, these guys are veterans. They're war horses, bring in one and, see what kind of let him be the teacher. Did Radko Gudas sign or no?
No, I think he's supposed to go to market. So the Ducks are going to be losing Carlson, Trouba, and Gudas. That's a lot to lose in one off season.
Yeah, and either Trouba or Gudas would be they'd be good guys to bring over to the Hawks to kind of some of those, for all these guys that still have peach fuzz, get some whiskers in there.
Yeah, no, adding Jacob Trouba to your back line, the addition of Greenway and Trouba would definitely make teams think twice about pushing your star players around.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of that, and we'll see how that works out. I'd be all for it. Gudas, I like Gudas in theory. I don't know if I like Gudas in practice. I know, I appreciate what he brings, but then there's going to probably be some nights where I'm like, dude, why is this guy out here? But
that it's kind of that Daniel Carcillo effect.
Yeah, you like the idea that he could do something stupid, but then when he does something stupid, you get mad at him.
Right. Well, that's the thing. The good thing about somebody like him doing something stupid is everybody on the other team knows this guy can do something stupid. I don't want him to do it to me.
Right. Right. And having a guy like Jacob Trouba on your team means no more Blackhawks will get carried out on stretchers either.
Yeah. And the other thing to keep an eye on too, when we start talking about trades, is teams are calling Bill Zito. Bill Zito is a guy who's got $5 million of cap space and no goaltenders. So he's got to move some contracts, and he's got to get some guys in that can cover the net. So yeah, you could talk about him getting Connor Hellebuck, but is he going to give up Lundell to get Hellebuck? That's what he's going to need to do. That's a lot to give up.
Yeah, he wouldn't do it to give up Tkachuk, but he also knew that the Senators were desperate, so he didn't have to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was bidding against himself with the Senators.
Yeah, I mean, Hellebuck is an intriguing guy if he's out there, because there are a lot of teams that need goalies. The Sharks should be making some phone calls. The Edmonton Oilers, Stan Bowman should figure out a way to make that happen.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Stan Bowman's called asking about Drew Comezzo.
He did draft him. You know how he's got to get those guys back,
but also Drew Comezzo is better than anything he's got, and he's still on his entry level.
Right. Yeah. Well, he's an RFA this year, but he won't get much more than an entry level.
Okay. Yeah,
but he's not. Yeah, he's going to get slightly above entry level. Yeah, he could call for Drew Comezzo, and they could say, "Would you like a slightly used Arvid Soderblom on the last year?"
I'm actually surprised he hasn't been bought out.
I don't know. I don't think you have to buy him out. You can,
Yeah, you could just waive him.
yeah, you can say he'll go back. And if someone takes him off your hands, someone takes him off your hands. You won't shed a tear.
Yeah.
And if Arvid Soderblom's your number one in Rockford this year, because that's all I want is I want a legit open competition between Comezzo and Soderblom in training camp.
I think you'll get that, and I would not be at all surprised if Comezzo walks in the door with the edge.
Well, he should. I mean, he's
not only has he gotten better results, but if you watch them play, he's got better technique. He's a better goaltender.
He's a better goalie, plain and simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Just have an open competition for that and let Comezzo have a legit chance to win it. And if he's better in camp, give him the job.
Yeah.
If someone picks up Arvid Soderblom on waivers, oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, we've got Brezhnev, because is Brezhnev ready to come back on opening night, or is the suspension still going?
No, his suspension was over before the season. He played before the end of the year. Yeah.
So yeah, you have Brezhnev and Guyon as your two goalies in Rockford.
And they just signed another goalie. The Ice Hawks did the other day. That's probably more for indie
Cranking
fuel,
purposes.
but yeah, exactly. But yeah, in the AHL you can find goalies. It's not the end of the world, but yeah.
And okay, we should also talk a little bit about the draft, because there is a draft, even though the Blackhawks no longer possess the number 4 overall pick. They still have plenty of picks.
Yeah, I can't wait to do a 4-hour live draft show tomorrow with no Blackhawk picks to talk about. It's going to be awesome.
You know what? There won't be any when you start. I wouldn't put money on there not being it when you're done.
I don't know. I know that's been
that's been Kyle's MO.
Yeah, it's been the standard operating procedure for the last couple seasons. But everything I've heard is they've got some guys in that those 2 early picks that they like. And so they may go, now that they don't have, the 4 anymore, they may say, let's take the 2 guys instead of 1.
Yeah, and
unless there's a guy they really want, say at 23 or 24, because that's about as high as they're going to be able to get with those 2 picks.
Yeah, the guy that I'm actually going to be out tomorrow night, so which is fine because I don't have to go live tomorrow night. You do. So
don't rub it in.
Yeah, it's great to be me. But one of the guys, I was like, well, you had your list of guys for 4, but then you look for guys late in the first, and maybe they can slip into the second. William Hackinson's one of those guys.
Yeah, I like him a lot. And that's another guy that I think it was Scott Powers wrote the other day about the Hawks are probably going to look for European or college guys so they could stash them away for a year or 2 without having to worry about giving up another contract. And right. He's playing in Sweden. Let him stay there for a year or 2. Let him develop on somebody else's dime, and then bring him over when he's ready.
And he's a guy I like because he's got good size, takes the body well, definitely puts his body in front of pucks. I know I compare a lot of guys to old Blackhawks because we're a Blackhawks podcast. That's what I'm going to do.
Right.
But I see William Hackinson, and I kind of sort of see where he could maybe be Nicholas Hjalmarsson. They're very similar stylistically. Neither, just like Hjalmarsson, he's not going to put up a lot of points, but that's not what you want him for. Another guy like that I like is Ben McBeath, and he will probably be there when the Hawks make their first pick in the second round.
The second pick, a guy I'd like to take a swing at, because the Blackhawks are in a position where they can take some swings. Mm-hmm. They've got so many prospects, and they've got this whole group of guys that are going to be in Rockford, so they could take a swing. maybe with that second pick is Ryan Rubrek, um, out of the OHL, who was a guy that at the beginning of the year was projected top 10, top 5. I know he's got some red flags. People aren't thrilled with his work ethic, but people weren't thrilled with Alex DeBrincat's work ethic. That's why he fell to the 46th overall pick. And you know what?
That's why he didn't make Team USA.
Right. And you know what? Things have worked out pretty good for him and his $8 million and 40 goals a season. So that's a guy I look at if he's there, because you could get some tremendous value. And if he turns out to be a pudwhack, we'll fine, then deal with it later. But you know, that's a guy that, you know, might have had a little big fish in a small pond mentality. I know he was like trying to get exception status as a teenager and didn't get it. And, you know, and he's a kid. Like kids are kids. I'm not like, get him professional, whoop him, you know, get him to hang out with Connor Bedard and that whole group.
Oh yeah.
And if he doesn't want to work hard, then you say thanks for coming. We'll talk to you later.
Connor Bedard and Artem Levshinov has been grinding all summer.
Yeah,
he's down at the SoFlo camp down here in Southern Florida. He's been skating with pros. I mean, he's getting ready. I think people are going to be very surprised with what they see out of Levshinov. But that's what you need. Talent alone doesn't get you there. You know, like Herb Brooks is saying, you don't have enough talent to win on talent alone.
Right.
So another guy that I like for the Hawks, he'll probably be there when they pick in the second round, Gleb Pugchayev. Have you ever seen any video of him?
Say that one again.
Gleb Pugchayev.
I'm not too familiar with him, to be honest with you.
He's been playing He's been playing in the MHL, and he is a big boy. He'll be in the KHL this coming year, and like in the MHL, he's just been a man among boys. He's been laying people out everywhere.
Yeah, so he might even be around for that third round pick.
Yeah, and you know that's what the Hawks can do now. The Hawks need to get some depth, especially blue line depth. But if you look at their organization, they're set at the NHL level, but you've got to have that stream of guys coming in. You know, one of the things I always laugh about on draft day is I always think about the Blackhawks 2011 draft, and I honestly thought that draft was going to be absolutely transformational. That was the draft that was going to turn the Blackhawks into a dynasty. Mark McNeil was going to be the next great power forward. And I mean, they picked good players in that draft. I mean, they picked Brandon Saad, they picked I think Philip Deneau was in that draft. Andrew Shaw was in that draft. Guys who had good NHL careers. But I mean, Deneau, that was a terrible trade. They traded Deneau, but
it was Deneau for Fleischman and Dale Weiss. Oh,
yeah,
awful. I hated that the second it happened, and then again, once you get in Q's doghouse, you can't get out of it.
Exactly.
And then both of those new guys ended up in his doghouse and were getting scratched in the playoffs too. So
So you know, we'll see what happens. One of the things with this year's draft is the only reason I could see Kyle not moving back up into the first round is because once you get past the top 10, 15 guys, it becomes kind of a wash. I mean, what you might like something in a guy that no other team likes, and so you know he'll be there when you're picking in the 30s. He might even be there, like Pogchayev is one of those guys. He might be there in the third round. We'll see. You know, we'll see what happens. And you know, at some point they'll take a goalie because they have to take a goalie. It's the law of the West.
Hey, it's what happens when the head of your scouting is a goalie.
Yeah,
like Donnie was a goalie. And I'm all for the draft a goalie every year. I'm fine with that as long as it's like 6th, 7th round every year, not 2nd, 3rd rounds.
Right.
Draft a goalie every year. You can't have too many of them.
I mean, unless there's somebody that you just think can, if you see a potential starter and you can get him in early in the second round, jump.
Yeah, I mean they've done that with Camezo was a second rounder and Guyan was a second rounder, so they've done it. It's
Yeah.
not unprecedented, but I don't think you need to do that now. But if you get a guy that's going to play in Europe for the next 3 or 4 years and you can get his rights in the 6th round, go for it. I'm fine with that. At that point, it's all a crapshoot, and you can never have too much goaltending. Ask the Edmonton Oilers; they would love to have a pipeline full of goaltending.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could see like after the top 10, it's kind of when you get to like, especially when you get to like 20, there's not much of a difference between 20 and 40. It's all
Right.
kind of a blob of the same kind of guy, and you're just gonna have to hope you get the right one. And you could tell that general managers are not thrilled with this draft class just by the amount of first round picks that have been traded already.
Yeah.
Especially top 10. We've seen 2 top 10 picks traded already, and we might see some more. The Rangers are supposedly dangling number 5 out there. So 4 was traded, 9 was traded. Well, the team I'm interested to see what they actually do is our pals down in Missouri. St. Louis Blues now have 4 first round picks. What are you going to do with all those? You're going to make all those picks? Are you going to try and package some of those to move up? You're going to that's intriguing to me because they got exactly what they wanted for Jordan Kyrou.
Yeah.
They wanted a first round pick, an established player, and a prospect, and they got a heck of a return for that. Getting Connor McMichael back was a really nice move by the Blues.
Yeah, and talk about a team that's going all in. Well, actually, what they're doing, they definitely want to give Ovechkin his last dance,
right?
But at the same time, signing, because they've got Kyrou, they got him signed, they got Alex Tuch, they got him signed, so they're also clearly setting up for life after Ovechkin.
Absolutely, they're basically saying, "Hey, Ovi, you want to come back for 1 year? And look, there's probably a playoff team right now, or if not, we're good."
Yeah.
That's a heck of a 24 hours for the Capitals to get Kyrou and Tuch on back-to-back days. Nicely done.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't think by any stretch that Kyle Davidson's done. There's got to be teams out there that are still going to have to move salaries, especially after July 1. Even there's going to be teams that are going to have to move some salaries, and like I said, Florida doesn't have money for a goaltender. Even if they move Lundell for Hellebuck, which seems to be the play, at that point they're right up against the wall, and they have nobody. They have no second string goaltender.
Well, Vegas needs to move money too.
Yeah,
because if they open up the pocketbook for Dorofeev,
well, and that's why my call is that the Blackhawks sheet him.
That or you say, all right, you signed Dorofeev. How many second round picks do you want for Tomas Hertl?
Yeah,
bring Tomas Hertl into the Hawks. That'd be if your off season is Bowen Byram and Tomas Hertl, you're looking pretty good.
Yeah,
you're looking like an NHL team.
Yeah, and I don't think Tomas Hertl would have any problems looking over to his right and seeing Connor Bedard.
No, I mean it's a nice spot to end up playing on a line with Canceroff and Bedard. You can do some damage. There's options there. There's we were talking about Jason Robertson. If the Stars do give him what he wants, and he has to, they pay him big bucks. The guy I offer sheet is Maverick Bork, and bring him in because his offer sheet will be far less costly as far as compensation goes than a Jason Robertson. I think we looked at it earlier. I think giving him market value on an offer sheet would cost you a first and a third. Done.
Yeah.
Because it's a win-win because you either get the guy and it makes a team in your division worse, or they have to match it and pay him more than they want to, and then they're even in a bigger salary cap hell, which helps you out as well.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
It is. unfortunately for the Hawks, they can only send out one sheet.
Yeah.
And there's been rumblings that there's going to be a sheet flying out of Ottawa too, because they suddenly have this huge stockpile of picks.
Right. But for an offer sheet, it has to be your own pick.
Right. Well, when you have a lot of picks, you
Right.
can offer up your own because you've got picks. You got picks in your pocket.
And I think they can. Puckpedia has the handy little chart about teams that can do offer sheets and teams that can't. I don't know. I'm not gonna dig for it too long, but yeah, it's. I mean, every year they kind of say, "Hey, this is the year the offer sheets are going to get weaponized," and it never happens. But I mean, this year definitely makes sense
because the two big free agents were Tuck and Radish, and they're both off the board.
Right, they didn't even hit the market. So yeah, all right, let's see here. So anything over $11.9 million. So the Jason Robertson is 4 first-round picks in the next 5 drafts starting in 2027. And the Ottawa Senators are a team that can make that.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks are one of the few teams that can actually make any offer sheet.
Yeah, and if they make a sheet, if they make an offer and the offer gets taken, they've still got they still have Edmonton's pick and Florida's pick next year.
Right. I mean, so Maverick Bourque, he would fall in the 4.7 to 7.1 million range. That would cost you
a
first and a third next year when you have 2 other first-round picks.
Yeah.
And if Florida has no goalie, maybe that's a decent pick.
Yeah.
Because we both know that Kachucks are both going to miss half the season because they're always hurt, and they're going to be too busy recording their podcast and all that other nonsense.
Is going to be hurt, and Bennett will be hurt, and Barkov is going to have to spend 22 minutes a night killing penalties.
I like how we've done this full circle. We started with the Kachuk, lasted on for about 30 seconds, and now here we are at the 53-minute mark, circling back to Kachuk. That is professionalism right there, folks.
See, chicks in the city paid top dollar for this.
But I, with Kachuk, one of my favorite. Somebody put out a tweet like, "Oh, Kachuk, Bennett, Kachuk, who's stopping that line?" And some of the replies were great. My favorite reply was a 6th grade math book. I mean, just the Kachuk stuff. Like, it took the Ottawa Senators over 24 hours to say a "thank you, Brady" social media message. You haven't heard a peep from any of his former teammates saying, "Hey, good luck, buddy. We're gonna miss you." None of that. That tells you something. But what I wonder is, at the next league general managers meeting, are they going to get together and be like, "Guys, we need to stop this no movement crap. It's killing us. We're getting screwed." Where it's supposed to protect the players, and now it's hurting the teams, because now you get these guys that are like, "I want to be traded, but I'm only going to go to the 2 teams that were in the Stanley Cup final, and they don't have any salary cap and they don't have any picks. So, but make it happen anyway."
Right.
Or you're the St. Louis Blues, who keeps getting screwed by the no movement clauses, because they said today that Colton Parayko is not available because he will not sign off on any trade. So that happened to them last year, Parayko.
Yeah,
remember, it also happened to Torrey Krug a couple years ago. He was supposed to go to the Flyers, and he said, "No, I'm staying." And then his ankle fell off and never played again.
Yep.
So the Blues are getting the opposite effect of the no move. But I wonder how that's going to start changing things, and I'm all for players taking some power and having a say in where they play. I'm all for that. That's great. But eventually it's not going to work anymore, because teams are going to be like, you can't just give me 2 teams to trade you to, and it's the 2 teams with the least amount to offer back. It's just not good business.
Yeah. And and the way that the salary cap works in the NHL, you can't do a super team. There just isn't. Teams don't have the money for it. Like, if all these knuckleheads all want to go play in Florida, there's no money for it. Like I said, they have $5 million of cap space. They're not trading Barkov.
No.
They're not trading for Higgy. Although if they want to trade for Higgy, hey,
Come
Kyle,
on
get
down.
on the phone.
Come on down. Exactly.
Same thing with Barkov. Hey, you know what? I don't even think Connor would mind giving up the seat to Barkov. Bring him in. So, you know what?
Here's an interesting report. This just came out courtesy of Sportsnet. This is from Elliot Friedman. According to multiple sources, the Seattle Kraken were given permission by Dallas to talk to Jason Robertson, offered him approximately $15 million per year on an 8-year deal, and he said no.
Ooh. Okay, you know what? Hard pass on Jason Roberts.
Well, is it the money, or he just doesn't want to play for the Kraken?
That's the thing. He might not want to play for the Kraken.
I think it's more of not wanting to play for the Kraken, not the money.
Yeah. And
I don't know. Jason Robertson's girlfriend was posting pictures from Chicago over the weekend in her Instagram. Once the city wins over the better half, you're screwed. You got to come to Chicago.
Yeah, and especially when they come to Chicago in the summertime.
Exactly.
And okay, we have 3.5 minutes left. We really need to talk about the retirement of Jonathan Toews. We've talked about it already, but now it's official. And I really hope that he does the 1-day contract thing. That'll probably be after July 1 when he's no longer under contract at Winnipeg. And I really hope that they give him a big night. I mean, he's already had the tribute video and all that, but I know the Blackhawks their usual thing is they don't want to put up a number until the guy's in the Hall of Fame.
Doesn't matter.
And well, the other thing is, Duncan Keith is on ice because they didn't want to put his number up while they were doing all the Centennial stuff.
Right. He got the Hall of Fame, the Blackhawks Hall of Fame honor.
Right. But he didn't get his number up because they didn't want to do it during the Centennial year. But yeah, 19 has to go up, and it has to, and I really think it should be a dual retirement. I mean, Kyle Calder, who we also lost since we last recorded.
It's been a bad year for 19s.
It's been a really bad year for 19s. Jonathan, look both ways when you cross the street.
Exactly, dude. Take care of yourself.
But yeah, they need to honor Troy, and they need to honor Jonathan. And Troy's getting his number in the rafters would be just for all of his contributions to the Blackhawks, not just as a player.
Well, he used to joke, and he made this joke to me personally more than once, but he said, he says, all I ask is when they retire Jonathan Toews' number, in very small print on the bottom of the banner, put an asterisk and say, also worn by Troy Murray.
You know what? I think Jonathan Toews would be A-okay with that.
But that was Troy in a nutshell. Just man,
he never took himself too seriously.
No, we missed him big time last year, and there's just a hole in the room and in the building that he's been gone. Just such a great guy. But yeah, Jonathan Toews, that number should be retired by Christmas. I don't care. Get it done. Second home game of the year, do it. Just get it done. That guy's a legend. Greatest captain in team history. Retire his number, put him in the Blackhawks Hall of Fame. Yeah. And when he gets into the Hockey Hall of Fame, you put the statue on Madison Street.
Yep.
Give him everything, and then give him whatever job he wants.
Yeah. If he wants to, I know the perfect job for him would be, he'd be a guy you'd want to have. You definitely want to have him in camp. You'd want to have him talking to, working with the young forwards, having them, get him in the weight room with those guys. Let them see how hard Jonathan Toews worked in the weight room. Although we've talked about the fact that Connor Bedard's also a gym rat.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Might be time to tell Yannick Perreault that thank you for your service, but why don't you go help out your kid with the Rangers? Help him win some more faceoffs. We got Jonathan Taves here. Getting some instruction from Jonathan Taves and Michael Pekka would make this team a much better all-around team.
Oh yeah, they would definitely be a position team. I mean, Jonathan Taves is Jonathan Taves. He can have any job in hockey that he wants.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would do if I was the Blackhawks. I would just, if I'm Danny Wirtz, I'm pulling out a piece of paper with his signature on the bottom and say, you write down what job you want and you have it.
I've got a feeling that
start tomorrow.
I have a feeling that conversation is already taking place.
Yeah, I know some people are upset that that he didn't retire as a Blackhawk, but it's like, well, he can't sign a one-day contract with the Blackhawks because he's still under contract till July 1st.
He's still under contract to the Jets.
Yeah, and that's his hometown. Let him make the announcement in his hometown, and then you have a night for him here in Chicago, so the fans can give him everything he deserves.
It was really easy for him to get his parents there and get everybody there. And he had it at the Jonathan Taves Sportsplex.
Yeah, we don't got one of those in Chicago. Beat you to it.
I was gonna say, you know what? Build it across the street from the Jason Hayward Baseball Academy.
There you go. Or just rename the Blackhawks Ice Center. That's so generic. Name it to the Jonathan Taves Work Your Ass Off building. There you go.
No, the Blackhawks are not. They're not putting up a bench without having corporate sponsorship.
Well, it's still sponsored. It's still presented by Fifth Third. It's just no longer the Fifth Third Arena. It's the Blackhawks Ice Center, which we'll be at next week. Development camp back on the ice. Should be fun.
Yeah. See who shows up.
Yeah. All right.
Ivar Stenberg.
No, that's too bad. But oh well.
Yeah.
It was a fun dream for those 6 weeks.
Yeah. Although I kind of always felt like, I mean, we always talked about how they need a defenseman, and
we were talking ourselves into it.
But one of the things that teams should never do is you draft the best, especially when you're that high. Draft the best player. Don't draft to need.
Yeah.
Unless you're drafting a guy who can. You want to draft a guy who can help your team right away. And I don't think Chase Reed's ready for the NHL.
No.
And Ivar Stenberg is.
Yeah. There's only two guys in this draft class that could be playing in the NHL from day one, and that's McKenna and Stenberg. Everybody else is so far, and you say don't draft for need when you're that high, and hopefully not, but maybe Kyle Davidson had to learn that lesson the hard way with Levshunov over Demidov, but I'm not at that point yet. I still think Artie Levshunov is going to be a stud, and in a year or two, people are not going to be worried about what Ivan Demidov is doing anymore.
Oh, they still will.
The amount of people that want to trade Artem Levshunov because he struggled as a 20-year-old NHL rookie just blows my mind.
Rookie defenseman.
So much hockey stupid out there, and they're the ones that have all the, they're the only ones shouting on the internet.
Yeah, 20-year-old scoring wingers. This is the thing with Kanserov. It's like all he has to do is get to the open spot of the ice. When the puck finds you, shoot it. That's it. There's not the amount of read and react that exists with a defenseman.
Right.
A lot of it is just reflexes, doing all the same stuff you've done for years. The puck is the same size it's been since you were a kid. The net's the same size it's been since you were a kid. The goalies are better, but if you got quick hands, just shoot the puck. Things will happen. And like I said, that's why, when we talk about Frundell and Nazar and all these others, Lardis kind of gets lost in the wash, but I think he's going to be a guy who's going to produce this year. And hopefully everybody stays healthy enough to where Sasha Bover hopefully goes to Rockford, gets his head on straight.
Stays there, yeah.
And Marek Van Acker goes to Rockford, stays there. AJ
AJ
Spellacy,
Spellacy.
I don't worry about him too much because the game he plays and the role he'll have with the Blackhawks, he doesn't need as much time to cook. I think the game he's going to play in the NHL, he already plays. It'll be nice to see him get out there and because he likes to throw his body around. Fine, throw your body around men and see what happens.
Yeah, skate fast, hit people.
Yeah, and if you're going to skate fast, hit people, let's see how it works in Rockford. If it works, great, bring them up. If it doesn't work, hey, you got to develop more stuff. You need more tricks in your bag.
Yeah, you need a new coat of paint.
Yep.
As they used to say in the wrestling business, go learn a new hold.
Yep.
All right, we could go on for probably another 2-3 hours, but
oh yeah, especially if you were going to make a right turn at wrestling, I'd start talking about Herb Abrams and the old UWF.
we'd have to
get Brendan in here.
We'd have to get an 8-ball to have that conversation.
Oh yeah. Herb. I had a friend who used to call the UWF number, which you would just get an answering machine with Herb Abrams saying, hey, UWF. You just, Herb, pay your bills, Herb.
Oh man, the 80s were great. The late 1980s were insane.
They were phenomenal.
All right, well, we'll save the UWF conversation for August when we have nothing to talk about, and then maybe we'll have Brendan Perlini come on and talk about it.
Yeah,
that man can kill an hour on one story. All right, we're going to wrap it up before we get into another topic, and we're here until the end of the draft. For Frank, this is Greg. We appreciate you spending some time in the second balcony with us, and we'll see you sometime after the draft and free agency. We'll catch up and tell you what's going on.
Play us off, Al.